All right, hey everybody, how you doing? Appreciate you joining us today. We'll be streaming live into YouTube here in just a second. But let me launch into our conversation we're going to hold today. 86 years old. Okay, I got to remember that. All right. Yeah, okay, so at 86 years old, this black man from Detroit thought he had seen it all, but he was in for a big surprise. We're going to dive into that conversation about um, why your why of traveling. Have you ever thought about this? Let me know in the comments if you've thought about your why for travel. Give me a me in the comments if you know exactly what it is, or if you're wondering. Let's talk about it. Maybe you can put your thoughts down in the bottom. But welcome to our travel talks with our Sankofa experiences. Let me play the intro and we'll dive into our discussion today. Welcome to Travel Talks, where we embark on a journey of discovery with Sankofa experiences, powered by Urban Intellectuals. I'm your host, Freddie Taylor, the CEO and founder of Urban Intellectuals, here to guide you through our African diaspora's rich history and culture. Sankofa Experiences is more than just travel, it's a movement. We dive deep into our roots across Africa and the diaspora, turning every journey into a powerful connection with our ancestors. Our mission? To make the exploration of Black history accessible, inspiring, and informative. Join us as we share insights from our travels, celebrate our history, and foster a deeper understanding of our collective identity. With Sankofa Experiences, every destination is a step closer to home. Let's explore together. Welcome to Travel Talks. All right, welcome to Travel Talks, everybody. Appreciate y'all joining us again. I'm your host, Freddie Taylor, the CEO and founder of Urban Intellectuals. And we're going to have a pretty good conversation today. Actually, I think I'm figuring out why the streaming kind of glitches a bit. It's probably because I'm streaming to multiple places at the same time, and maybe I need to get a computer with a bigger capacity or something like that. Anyway, I'm always trying to figure that out. Appreciate y'all joining us today, everybody. As usual, let me know where you are watching from. But I would love to also know why your why of traveling. That's what we come here to have a conversation about today, your why of traveling. I'm definitely going to share mine, of which some of you might be able to guess, right? But what's going on in and around the company? We always got a lot going on here at Urban Intellectuals, so I like to try to keep our audience that follows us up to date. 3 reasons why our story must start with slavery is happening tonight, Tuesday, November 26th. And yours truly, Freddie Taylor, will be delivering our reasoning on why our history must start before slavery and the things that we need to do to ensure our stronger collective future. Let me put it that way. Our Black History Wall calendar, which I finally have mine for 2025. Let me see if I can jump on here. Is still available, right? So every year we put out another wall calendar that has daily Black history facts on each day of the year. So 365 days of the year, you can get solid Black history and culture. So I wanted to make sure that I shared that with you. In addition, our Black Friday sale is happening right now. It is live, right? We are offering $10 decks of our Black History flashcards, our playing cards, our games, our entertainment, our tools. Is all $10 inside of our Black Friday offer. You should be able to click the link and go and visit and take advantage of that deal. We got free shipping for 30 orders, $35 or more. Plus, you get a free mystery deck added to your bundle. You spend $70 or more, you get an extra 10% off. And if you spend over $120, you'll get an extra 20% off. So we're definitely incentivizing our people for shopping with us during Black Friday. Okay, I am. Okay, there we go. All right, but let me dive into my why, right? And why we're here for the crux of the matter, our discussion on traveling. Why travel? And my why for traveling, and the story again of Urban Intellectuals started almost 100 years ago. Of course, I'm not 100 years old, but the young man behind me is almost, right? He is 95 years young now. 87 a spry 87 in this particular photo where we are at the door no return there in Ghana. I'll talk a little bit about this particular picture and this story, or the story behind this picture in a moment. But yeah, this is my father. This is my dad, and he's the reason that I am so interested in Black history and culture. And our story coming up is really the reason for our travels, and the reason like I love to travel is really because of him. But these are the early years, as they say. This is my mom on the left, and that's, although it looks like me, that's not me. That's actually my youngest son there with mom. Um, a while ago, and that's Dad and I on the right in Morocco. I'm gonna talk a little bit about that as well. But this is the family that I grew up with, those two. Mom since passed in 2019. And like a heartbreaking thing about that, one is heartbreaking to lose your mama. Two, um, my mom had dementia, and she ended up burning all of our childhood images, right? So all the pictures of growing up. Um, yeah, that's just, I want you to use that story or that reminder to digitize your keepsakes and the things that you have, because anything can happen. I just had a friend who recently had a fire and he lost some of his precious images that he's had over the years. So I want you to think about that and keep that in mind. But this is where I grew up. Um, this place, right? This is Inkster, Michigan. This is my neighborhood there. But growing up in this home under Dad is really kind of the genesis for all of this, right? This is part of a documentary we filmed of him while he was a young 93 years old. He hadn't quite turned 94 yet. Um, but growing up listening to him talk about his love of history and culture and his appreciation for our history and culture and the importance of our history and our culture, and really impressing upon me at a young age that our history and culture is important. And I remember coming home to this table or in this kitchen here and having discussions with him in my 20s. I couldn't wait to get back from college to come and sit down at the table and chop it up with my man. That's something like 25, 27 years ago. He's like, he would have been like 70 years old, 69, 70 years old. And it's funny. I laugh because he's always being funny, right? He's a comical guy. But um he always say, because people are like, oh my God, you're 95, you can't believe you get around so well. He always say, if you're impressed now, you should have seen me when I was 75, right? Like, so he just talks about how the 70s are so, you're so young still, and you have so much opportunity. So I always love to bring that up. But, but again, it's really his interest and his involvement that got me into studying Black history. And this is like an important concept here at Urban Intellectuals, is the concept of Sankofa. So it's a word in the Twi language of Ghana that translates to go back and get it. So go back and get it. Go back and get your history. Go back and get your culture and bring that forward with you in the future. And this is really what Dad was impressing upon me growing up is, your history is important. Your culture is important. Your people are important. What has transpired is important to our present and our future. And don't ever forget that. And it's really the genesis behind what we do here as a company, right? Many of you may have been familiar with our Black History flashcards by Urban Intellectuals. So this is our #1 seller that we started offering in 2017. So this goes back a number of years. We're not a fly-by-night organization. In fact, 2016 was our first year of full operations and full time in this company. But since then, we sold over 500,000 decks to 200,000 plus customers in all 50 states and 64 countries around the world. And since then, we've expanded our product offering. We actually have 19 physical products that we offer centered around Black history and culture. And I've mentioned all of this not to impress you, but to impress upon you that really at our core, we are a Black history company. This is who we are. This is what we do. This is what we get into day after day. And it's really, really extending from my dad's love of history and culture. So everything we do around here is centered around Black history and culture, right? Even our Black Friday sale, right? I just had to reiterate that one more time. But we are offering $10 decks on all of our products. This is pre-pandemic pricing. We going back before the pandemic. pricing that you love and appreciate, right? But again, the more dollars you spend, the more dollars you save. $35 gets free shipping plus a free deck. $70 or more gets you an extra 10% off, and $20, 20% off $120 or more. So keep that in mind. But I want to take you back into my story and let me take you back into the story, right? I said I was going to talk about it. Let me jump into it, right? So I want you to think about this in 2019. We go back to 2019, 2016. My dad comes to me and he says, "You know what, man? I want to go to Africa." And I'm like, "I thought you already been," right? I was really shocked. Dad had never been to Africa in his life, right? Like, so I was like, wow, that's interesting. He's like 86 years old. I'm like, I had never been to Africa at this point in my life. I'm like, bet, let's go. So, like a good son, I got my man to Africa. This is us being dropped off by my mom on the left in 2017, going on our way to Africa for the first time. It's us on the plane. Get some dad when he first touched down in Accra. We were going to Ghana. You can see we got our Ghanaian shirts on, right? Um, but everybody has that moment when you're there for the first time. Like you slow down, you drink it in, and you think about it. So I was happy I got an opportunity to capture some of those moments. But this was us exploring the continent, exploring some of the conversations and the history that we always talked about, right? He's always talked about it growing up. Kwame Nkrumah is one of his heroes, right? So to actually be there, this is us there at the mausoleum in Ghana, in the center there. He always spoke about Du Bois, right? So Du Bois retired there in Ghana at the bequest of Kwame Nkrumah, which is an interesting history. But that's us at his home there. It's been turned into a museum, and they're upgrading that area a lot. I was just there in earlier this month, right? November. But this is Dad and I on our rooftop hotel eating and enjoying some Ghanaian Star. Okay, I got Star, and he has the club beer. That's that picture there at the door, no return, having that experience. That's the African American Association of Ghana there at W.B. Du Bois' home, right? There outside on those grounds is where that organization and people commune. So if you want to look that up, if you're interested, right? So I asked Dad, like, what was his greatest memory of some of the travels that we had done, and this is what he had to say. Okay, so my first question to you is, what's your most vivid memory of our travels to Africa, and what stands out most to you? Your Ghana. Yeah, okay. Well, we've been to Ghana and we've been to Egypt. Yeah, and we've been to Morocco. You just went to Ghana. No, your most vivid memory. Yeah. Well, my most vivid memory was when I struck land there in Ghana. And there was a feeling. Oh, yeah, I know that's bothering. I'm explaining. Never been to Ghana before. But in my mind say, I'm home. Home at last. I mean, that's the feeling you get, it's an unforgettable feeling that place you ain't never been and you feel so comfortable. All of a sudden there's a bit of freedom amongst you, Yeah. That was not unforgettable. We left the Africa and went to Ghana. The first thing I felt was that freedom. I ain't never experienced that before. And I think too, what's the Family Feud guy's name? Which Family Feud? What's his name? Oh, Steve Harvey. He experienced the same thing. He said when he got to Ghana, he said, just in Detroit, the same feeling, the same walk, everything was so coherent, He said like
Hey, I'm in Africa, you know, right? I'm not in town with or something. Yeah, that's a feeling you get though. Because the people look familiar. Is that the thing? Oh man, people look familiar. You know what I'm gonna say about the people look familiar. When we went to Egypt, man, I saw the angster boy there on the walls, man. I don't know how many centuries he's been there, but he was from Angster. Yeah. I mean, that's a familiarity of what you saw, you know. Those were some unforgettable moments when Jay said, "Come here, look at this." You know, hey, I know you. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, those,
I love that laugh. I love that laugh that he kicks off right when he is enjoying himself, right? So yeah, that's part of the reason I travel, right? And I love to travel specifically with him is to see the things through his eyes. This is he and I in 2018, after having a Ghanaian trip in 2017, excuse me, 2018, we jumped over to Spain and Morocco. So we were taking on North Africa. And we went into Spain since we were going into Morocco. I was like, hey, let's add a couple of days and go into Spain. Specifically, we went into southern Spain. This is in Granada. This is the Alhambra or the La Alhambra, where this is the last Moorish stronghold there in Spain. So most of you should know or have been made aware if you've been hanging around us. The Moors ruled southern Spain and southern Europe for almost 800 years, right? So from 711 AD to 1491 or 1492. You're familiar with this place because this is the Alhambra, but this is their last fort. This is the last stronghold in Europe. It's in Granada, Spain. It's in southern Spain. Um, but you're familiar with this fort. You've seen it before, but you just know the story as King Ferdinand and Isabella got together and they got rid of the infidels. And then they christened Christopher Columbus to sail west. Well, they did all of this at this place. This location is the Alhambra. This is where they were all talking about, right? So this is a fort high up on the hill. You can see over Dad's and behind Dad, in the picture there, how it is standing out over the hill. I think I might have a picture where you can get a sense of like what I'm talking about. So this on the left is us at the Alhambra overlooking the city of Granada. But this is a fort, right? This place is beautifully constructed. It's absolutely stunning, but it's a lot of Black history and culture that ruminates through this whole region. Um, that often isn't talked about, right? So this is one of those jewels, and you can see the detail and the beauty of all of this. Now, this construction on this started in the 9th century, right? So I want you to frame that understanding into what you're seeing, right? You're told that your people are nothing but slaves, but something as magnificent as this is being built in the 9th century by Black Northern Africans, of which, if you went to this location, and try to go through this tour, they're not talking about any of this, right? None of that is on the conversational menu. Um, this is why you got to one. It depends. It's important on who you travel with because the angle, the narration of the travel adventure can be skewed. It can be whitewashed, like much of our history is anyway. But it's a beautiful adventure. Southern Spain is beautiful. There's a lot of Moorish history still there, and universities. That's another conversation, right? Let's continue. So we hopped the water and went into Morocco that same trip. We spent 7 days in Morocco. This is just a couple of the images of the experiences that we had. I thought we were staying in a beautiful location. That's us down on the left being greeted with some hibiscus tea, with some tea. I can't remember it's hibiscus, with some Moroccan tea. There we go. In this beautiful location, pools right in front of us. It's amazing. I thought we were gonna stay there. Dad thought it was too authentic for him. He wanted to upgrade a little bit. So that's him in the middle, and we're outside of the Radisson, where he had to get some familiar amenities. I ain't mad at him, right? So he's 88 years young in this particular picture. And now we're taking on Morocco. Did a little bartering, shopping down there at the bottom. But it's just been a beautiful journey to travel with Dad and have these experiences. Um, 2018 is also the year I swabbed both of my parents and sent in our African ancestry. And I save, I guess, another day for my paternal line and that conversation through my father. But my maternal line, so my mother's mother is Bende out of the Sierra Leone area. So we were able to share this information with her before she passed on reconnecting our family and who we are on this planet. More on that in just a second. 2019, I continued to travel with Dad. This time, a couple of my brothers went along with us, and we went to Paris, right? And we went into Normandy because we were chasing the 75th anniversary of World War II. Dad is also a war history buff. So the 75th anniversary is a big deal. He always said he was too young to go to World War II. He was just a couple of years too young, I think 4 years too young, or he would have probably been drafted and sent to that war. But we went into Paris and had a good experience up there. It's always made better when you're with your family, right? And I love this picture on the left because this is my older brother down on his knees tying Dad's shoe, right? Like, so I love when Black men take care of Black men, particularly when Black fathers are honored and respected like this. And the guy that's doing it is a closet comedian. He is actually hilarious. So I just love to see his humility. And no problem, right? Nobody got to ask him. He just diving in. We're all just trying to take care of Dad. So he had the best experiences. So building on that, 2020 was a pandemic. We sat down. 2021, we tested the waters. We actually went to Vegas on a trip, just sat poolside by a resort, and just got Dad out the house a bit and had some experiences. But later that year, he tells me, hey, man, I want to go to Egypt. I ain't never been. I want to go to Egypt. Well, okay, bang, let's go to Egypt. But this is when the UI experiences were born, our Sankofa experiences, because instead of just going to Egypt, we took 40 people inside the Urban Intellectuals community to Egypt with us. And we had that very first experience, right? So that's Dad in the center of the picture with his sweater on because it's not hot enough in Egypt, apparently, for him. And that's us on the left there overlooking the Nile River, right? Getting ready to have our Egyptian experience. It was a beautiful trip, right? We got to see, again, a history, the culture, and Kemet, and all the places that we've grown up talking to Dad about and reminiscing and dreaming. And man, I hear those pyramids are big. And oh man, have you heard of Abu Simbel, right? And Pharaoh Ramses. Man, you got to see Luxor. Look at this picture. Watch this video. So to go and have that experience with him in real life was like, you know, I've lived a lot of dreams, right? All of these have just been dreams come true, of which I would say probably one of the biggest I'm gonna share in just a second. But yeah, I always try to get over the shoulder shots so I can see what's captivating him, what caught his eye. He's 93 years young in this picture in 2022. It's October. It was right after his birthday. So it's a perfect birthday trip to get him up there to have that experience. This is us sailing down the Nile on the left, getting ready to head to our Galabaya. You know, oh man, all sorts of the tombs and the temples that we were in, just having that experience with him was absolutely spectacular, right? And so if anybody was there on that trip, y'all know how enthusiastic he was and is about all of this stuff. But since then, we've taken 362 people and counting. We got a couple of more trips before the end of the year happening on these Sankofa experiences. My only question is, why haven't you traveled with us just yet? But I had to ask Dad, right? So this is again, he's 94 when I asked this question. Why do you think it's important to travel to Africa? And here's his thoughts.
I would ask, why do you think it's important for other Black folks to have that experience of going down in the dungeon? Why do you think that that's important? Yeah, because your concept of Africa, you have to have a Black man on the street. I ain't going to Africa. I was born here. I ain't even African. Something like that. Because they refuse to look back into their history and know damn well that the majority, not all of us, but the majority of us came from Africa. You inherited your your family tree, and someone like you say came from Africa, that's where you're from. But they don't want to accept the fact because Africa looks so poor. They don't want to accept the fact they are part of that poorness. Big numbers. And but what pleases me so much is finding Africa woke up. It's become rebellious. And they were saying that there ain't no civil war unless there's bloodshed is shed. And the Africans already been shedding blood for a long time. They've been fighting civil. We may not know about what they've been doing, but they've been fighting this war for a long time, hundreds of years. They never gave up. They never gave up. And the thing about that too is like,
I want to get he going. He keep going in that clip, but I want to keep it going on this conversation. But it sparks a lot of thought inside of the young man and interest inside of us, right? When you get an opportunity to go and see it for yourself, right? But the trip wouldn't be complete, right? I've been traveling around with dad, so I had to get the wife out to have those experiences as well. So in 2023, we took her on our trips to Black History Month in the motherland. So we had a back-to-back setup there. You can see us at Egypt on the left. So we did the 8-9 day trip there in Egypt and then flew across the continent and picked up Ghana, which is the two pictures, picture in the middle and the picture on the right. That's at the Sky Bar overlooking Accra City, Ghana. And then down in the middle in the lower piece is at those dungeons that we had that same experience with dad, got a chance to do that with the wife. But remember I talked about connecting our citizenship and swabbing, connecting our history, our lineage, and swabbing my mom and my dad and getting the opportunity to do that, sending through African ancestry. We found out that we're Mende. My wife did the same thing, took the test, and guess what? She's Mende and Timne, also out of the Sierra Leone region. So we took that as our clarion call to go and have that voyage as well. So now my love of traveling with dad is transferring to traveling with the family and reconnecting our history and culture here on this planet, right? Because now I kind of know where we're from. I'm learning more about that. But in general, the search has always been about reconnecting to our history, finding out who we were on this planet before colonization and what's really going on with us in the diaspora around the world right now, right? Because we know that when those cameras come out, the media comes out, and the news and the educational and the political environment come out, they're not giving us the whole picture. Everything isn't being told to us correctly. So it's time for us to stop depending on mediators and people in the middle that got a vested interest in us not connecting and us being Africans in the diaspora. Let's start going and reconnecting ourselves. So what started with a firm appreciation for traveling history and learning about history with my dad and reminiscing about all of those good times and those great discussions and seeing it live and in person, it's kind of morphing into having a greater understanding of our existence on this planet, our contributions to humanity, and having these direct conversations with people around the globe. So this will, and reconnecting our family ties, right? So now that I know that we're Mende, let's go, right? So this is the wife and I in Sierra Leone having that experience, right? Going home, right? And not only meeting the Mende people, meeting the people of Sierra Leone, staying in Freetown, going into the villages, experiencing the blackouts, when the power and the electricity goes out. We spent 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks there, getting our dual citizenship, visiting Bunce Island, which is the home of the door of no return there in Sierra Leone. That's that picture there in the middle. Visiting Mayamba, which is the village that you can see me on there on the right, on the left. And then even going to the beach. This is River Beach number 2, rated the number 3 most beautiful beach in the world. I think it's probably number 1. The scenery is picturesque, is absolutely amazing. We ended up getting out of there early, but they were not shutting it down. They was about to shut it down with a full-fledged concert out there. That place got packed. It was an amazing vibe, a good experience there in Sierra Leone. But we got what they say, two passports now, right? So it's called us not two chains, but two passports, because we got our dual citizenship. But travel started connecting all of these dots for us. But since this time, the travel hasn't stopped, right? So earlier this year, I was in, oh man, where was I at? Senegal and the Gambia, having that experience, right? Going into there, walking with lions, petting crocodiles, a pink lake, going to Dakar, going into um, the door no return there. It's just been a lot. But one of my special trips was this one, taking dad to Cuba. So we went to Cuba in August of 2024. This was our most recent trip. This is us staying at the hotel overlooking the Capitol building. So that's the White House of Cuba there in Havana. It's a beautiful scene. Havana is a beautiful place. And my man was comfortable having some fun. Check him out a little bit here. One of our Cuban dinners. Check him out. Check him out. She was trying to get him. She was trying to get him to come out on the floor. That's my man. He loves to dance, by the way. And this is one of those moments he'll tell you where you should have seen me when I was 75. But his knees are bothering him now, so he isn't able to move like he wants to. Like he said, he would have definitely been out there in the Congo line or enjoying more of the vibe because he is a dancer. I've seen my man cut a rug, but he had a really good time. But the Cuba piece was really important because literally ever since I can remember, I'm talking about being 6 years old, having conversations with him telling me about Fidel Castro and the Cuban involvement in the liberation of the African diaspora, both in Africa, in Central America, and South America, and throughout the islands. And Castro and Che Rivera, great Che Rivera, back here somewhere too. Castro's behind me too, by the way. But Dad made me get a thorough understanding of why exactly they hate this man and why he's been ostracized. So this was big to actually have an opportunity to get him to go to Cuba and be with him because literally we've talked like if you know him, conversations go come back to Castro's Cuba and all of that. So to go experience it, to have our history lesson through there, to reconnect with the Afro-Cuban community, of which when you walk around, that's who you see, by the way, good people in Havana. It looked like Cuba is all black, right? I wasn't everywhere, but and they identify with their African culture, right? So it's really interesting um, to engage the community there. That was this really really special trip earlier. Um, so why do I travel with him, right? That smile. Look at this.
I got that knowledge. This won't be able to. You can see he just looks much better than mine. Yeah. That's a cigar.
Yeah, so having these experiences with him, it just really means a lot to me. And that smile means everything. But it's just really been a great experience to like live through this with him and have these experiences. So that's really what's behind driving me and then these conversations.
I remember the times though. I would have said, hell, I ain't no African kid. I ain't never been. I don't know about them people over there. Hmm. And in high school and thing when you have American history, you know, African history, they talk about African. Blacks refuse to acknowledge that they're part of that African continent, you know. I ain't no African American, all that stuff. But now the time has come, I'm proud to be an African, African descent, you know. Yeah. Just like the Irish got their Irish descent, the Italians got their thing, the Germans got their, everybody got something. And we was denying ours, you know. Mm-hmm. But no more. And the thing, well, what kills me though, the richest continent in the world is the poorest. Now, just think about that. How in the hell can you have all the resources and you got to beg for a loan from the IMF to do something and then you catch a loan to a long interest rate, you know, get you in debt for 50 years now on some bullshit in that you have and all the money.
Oh, hold on, Dad. He got fired up. I forgot about that part. But he's hitting on something that's really interesting that I think we often overlook. And like, so while I was in Ghana earlier this month, I was talking to one of the guys that is like the historian there at, I got to get the actual name of the river, but they call it Slave River, right? The home of the last bath. There's a whole storyline that goes along with this. But he was talking about why history is denied, right? Why African history or history on the continent, or even what's happening on the continent, why it's convoluted, why you're shunned away from it, why you're told not to go. Because if you start to get interested in the history and the people, you're going to start to get interested in the resources and what's happening. Both human capital, being African intelligence, African ingenuity, African know-how, the resources like he talked about, the gold, the diamond, the silver, the bauxite, you know, everything, right? So if you start to have an appreciation for a place, you start to ask different questions. Well, hey, why is it that the place that got all the resources of the world, how are they poor? What's starting to happen? So if you start to unwind those questions, it starts to lead to a very interesting space. I'll leave that for another show and another day, but we definitely gonna have to get into it all because it is a powerful discussion and one that we need to have. But I want to stay focused here today because I gotta ask you, are you ready? Are you interested in traveling to the continent with us? And it only have to have three things. So that's it, right? You just need a passport. You need your deposit and then a trusted travel guide, right? So if that's a yes, if you're thinking about travel with us, let me know in the comments. Give me a UI in the comments if 2025 or 2026 looks like a good year of travel for you, right? Because I got a surprise for you. Right. So here's the thing. Here's the catch. This is not the catch. This is the meat, right? The first 20 people before December 3rd at midnight Eastern Standard Time, you can put down $199 as your deposit. And we're going to give $400 off of your trip, excluding a couple of them, right? Like South Africa, we can't afford that, right? That no, the margins don't work there, but the others is fair game, right? So $400 off midnight Eastern Standard Time, but only to the first 20 people, right? So we got a couple of people watching this now, and we're going to blast it out to our email list and talk about it. So it's for the first 20 people. So if one person signs up and brings 3 people with them, that's 4 slots that's going to be taken up. So keep that in mind. Hey, where do you travel to? Just about anywhere that matters, right? So we're going throughout the next calendar year and offering you an opportunity to come with us. So if you go to the link, you'll see a list of everything that's available. SankofaExperiences.com, the dates and the time of year that you could search by. You can see everything that you need to make a decision on coming and have one of these experiences with us. All right, so we got a couple of people still here. I have time for some Q&A. If you have any questions, you can either raise your Zoom hand or just drop the question down in the comments, and I'll be sure to follow up with you. Let me just see if I can see over there. Can. Good, good. All right. Is there Ashley, am I missing anything else that I need to mention? I think I should be clear and good. But the bottom line is we are interested in being your travel company. But if you're interested in looking for one that is Black and African centered, one that centers around the experience, more so than other items on travel concern, we're looking to chase the Black history and culture as we go into these places. So reconnection is really where we are aiming for, right? So Black history travel made easy is our mantra, and that's what we're doing through the Sankofa experiences. If you have any additional questions after this, feel free to shoot an email to support@sankofaexperiences.com. That's support@sankofaexperiences.com. Again, the first 20 people who come through this deal is going to get $400 off and only have a $199 deposit that they have to put down. The balance of the payment would need to be paid 30 days before the trip takes off, right? So if you were going on a trip December 14th, 2025, then by November 14th, the payment will have to be cleared, right? So once you go ahead and sign up or you click the link and you decide on the trip that you want to take, you have an opportunity to see the payment schedule leading up to the trip. You can pay it in full if you like. You can pay it in chunks, and you can pay it off ahead of time. None of that will incur a penalty. But my point is you'll see your entire payment plan leading up to the trip before you put down any of your information in our system. So again, $400 off for the first 20 people that take us up on this offer. This is our Black Friday offer for Sankofa experiences. We have a laundry list of places that you can go and attend in 2025, including Egypt, Ghana, Senegal, the Gambia, South Africa, Ethiopia, Morocco, Brazil, Kenya, Tanzania. Did I miss anything? Nigeria and the Ivory Coast. Those are the places that we are taking on in 2025. Again, we got space and room for you right now. So again, if you have any questions, shoot an email to sankofaexperiences.com. Again, that's sankofaexperiences.com. Looking forward to hearing from you, hearing about your interests and where you are interested in traveling to. So again, sankofaexperiences.com. Click the link, take advantage, become one of our $400 off people utilizing our Black Friday special, again, to the first 20 people. So until next time, good people, I appreciate y'all spending some time with me. Until then, love, peace, and power to the people. Have a good night, everybody. Excellent, excellent. I see you, Dwayne. Appreciate y'all. Thank you, everybody.